or perhaps assuming that the sheer implausibility of the proposition will surely prompt someone to shout out any second now, yes, let's go to the bar. And in fact, a number of my own friends emailed me this week when I saw the notice I sent them. They says, look, this whole Colorado thing is just a gag for the onion, isn't it? Well, don't put in your craft beer order just yet. Though I suspect some of what I may say, which I suspect you will have never heard before, will put you in the mood for a strong drink by the time we're done. Well, I am the oddest of ducks. I have been called, not a label I sought out by the way, but I've been called a green conservative by Newsweek, The Economist, The New Republic, The New York Times, and The Washington Post. Of those conservative magazines, you notice. And though I'm far from an isolated or exotic example, no one much pays attention to this. The term green conservative seems impossible to conventional wisdom today, and in fact, at the one and only time I ever met Al Gore, I managed with this label to generate a startled look and raised eyebrows on his face, thus disproving a favorite conservative stereotype that Gore is in fact an animatronic robot from Futurama. Now, I'd like to begin with an axiom and then a short quiz. And then from there to a short series of provisional observations and themes to discuss. My axiom is that the environment is much too important to be left to environmentalists. I'm just going to screw it all up. And I'll develop that point of view as I go. My quiz begins with a couple of, well, pop quiz. A couple of quotations for you to ponder. Who do you think said this? Quote, "There is an absolute necessity of waging all-out war against the debauching of the environment. The bulldozer mentality of the past is a luxury we can no longer afford. Our roads and other public projects must be planned to prevent the destruction of scenic resources and to avoid needlessly upsetting the ecological balance," close quote. Now, when asked that, and if anyone wants to guess, go ahead and raise your hand, it's not necessary, but I do ask that to conservative audiences sometimes, and usually get a scowl, and says, well, that's Al Gore, isn't it, or Streisand, or Ralph Nader. They're a little more knowledgeable, they might say Bill McKibben, or Wendell Berry, or some sort of other figure around the time, and there's usually a look of shock on conservatives when they say, actually the person who said that was Governor Ronald Reagan in 1970. Now people my age and older, they remember, and the environmentalists always throw back at me and says, yeah, but they remember an offhand comment Reagan made one day trying to make a quip. He said, if you've seen one redwood, you've seen them all. And that's what environmentalists remember Governor Ronald Reagan. They either don't know or conveniently forgot that Governor Reagan set aside more acres of redwood for redwoods for permanent preservation than any governor before or since. They don't know that his director of natural resources he hired from the Sierra Club, or that he canceled a dam project that would have flooded a whole valley of Northern California. He canceled a big highway project that would have bisected the Sierra Nevada mountains. But the highway doesn't belong there, he said. There's still one today. The highway project had been approved by his predecessor, Pat Brown, Jerry Brown's dad. And yet somehow in California, the big conservation award is named for Pat Brown. I don't quite get it.